Hi guys, welcome back to this channel. I'm William, your property buddy. Today our topic is about what are the channels that first home buyers, or in Chinese we call 小白, to buy their first ever properties. The most common way is people will go to the showroom or the sales gallery. So before you go to the sales gallery, you must have a very clear mind, objective that considering buying this property for investment or is it for own stay. And then you choose the property and the unit and the layout, the facing, all the details according to your objective. It's not the other way around. Okay, fast forward. After you have already visited the showroom and gallery, usually the process is the agent will show you the calculation of that unit. You can ask them where is the parking lot, where is the water tank or the riser, is it too close to the unit, will it affect the unit in terms of noise. Once you visited the showroom, if you are really keen, you are interested to buy the unit, you don't straight away sign sales and purchase agreement. The first step is you check the unit available, then the agent will prepare the booking form, whether it's a digital booking form or physical booking form. Then they will collect a booking fee from you on the spot, or maybe after the viewing they will let you sign the booking form and collect the booking fee. It could be 500, it could be 1000, it could be 5000, it could be 10,000, depends on projects. What happens after you sign the booking form? The next step is apply for loan. So when it comes to applying loan, you can submit it through your agent or you can submit directly to your preferred bankers. Usually agents will roughly know already for this project which banks offers the best rate, offers the best package overall, best loan to value or margin of the loans. Because some banks sometimes due to different projects, they offer 80%, some 85%, some 90%. All you need as a customer to prepare all your income documents. Your income documents could be your fixed income payslip, your side gigs income, your investment like shares, unit trust that has dividend income, or your savings in your fixed deposits. The easier or clearer that you let a bank knows about your asset and also income, the easier for the bank to offer you a loan and easier for the banker to fight for you the best rate lah. Now the average mortgage interest rate is about 3.9. It's also depending on the individual profile. Some individual profile will get slightly higher, some with a better profile will get lower. It's negotiable. Interest rate is not a fixed thing. Interest rate are not the same from bank to bank. It's also depending on their profit margin, their appetite as well, and of course also the customer's loan profile. If your loan profile is better, you can also ask your bankers to negotiate and fight for the better rate. So let's say you submitted all the documents. Usually straightforward case, within maybe 1 week you will know the answer, but not so straightforward case, it requires a little bit more approval or processing, right? It may take 1 week to even 3 weeks or 4 weeks to come up with bank loan offer. So once the bank loan offer is out, let's say you apply for 3 banks, you can also compare among the 3 banks, see which one suits you the best. Suits you the best may not necessarily means the lowest interest rate. You have to consider the overall package being offered by bank A, B, C, and then you decide. Once you decide, then you will need to sign a loan offer letter. That means you agree or accepted the loan offer lah. Then once you accepted the loan offer, you can inform the agent, or usually the banker will inform the agent as well, or the developer side, to say customer has already accepted the loan, then now we can prepare for the sales and purchase agreement, loan agreement, deeds of mutual covenant, and also the power of attorney documents. So usually it's 4 different documents that you need to sign in the process of buying a property. Usually you will get rebates in terms of like things like legal fees, sometimes even disbursement fees as well from the panel lawyers that the developers appointed. And then after you have signed everything, it is completed in terms of the document. So subsequently, you will need to start to pay progressive interest. Progressive means that you pay staggeredly. How much the bank release the money to the developer, then you only pay the interest based on that. For example, in the HDA schedule, you have stage 1, 2A, 2B, 2C, and so on, right? That schedule is already fixed. The disbursement of the money from the bank to the developer, then the bank will charge you. Let's say your loan is, let's say 800,000. So far already disbursed 200,000. So you are being charged the interest of the 200,000. How to calculate is 200,000 times the annual interest rate. Let's say the interest rate is 4% and you want to calculate for, let's say, the month of February. 200,000 multiplied by the interest rate, divide by 365, because it's an annual rate, 1 year rate. That means you divide 365, multiply by the number of days in that month. So you want to know the progressive interest of February, you multiply by 28 days, then you will get the progressive interest for February. So what it means is when it's in March 31st days, your progressive interest is slightly different. It's based on the number of days in that month. So fast forward maybe 36 months or 48 months, where it's stated in the sales and purchase agreement, the project will be completed. So upon project completed, right, nearer to your keys collection, or we call vacant possession, right, and then the developer will issue a clearance letter for you to do keys collection appointment. Then you arrange with the keys collection team, go and collect your keys, and then you can start your defects inspection. The effects liability period, right, that means a warranty period from the developer, will cover from the VP plus 2 years. That means you get the 2 years. If you find any defect with the unit, you need the developer to help you to replace or repair, right? They are still liable for that. But after 2 years, no more lah. You can also hire a certified defect inspection inspector to help you to do a more thorough checking before you move in for your own stay or even for rent out lah. But to me, time is also cost. Don't spend too much time on defects inspection and waiting for the developer to replace. Not to say you don't kira or don't count any of the costs. It means that the longer you drag, right, it's also a cost for you because you are paying full installment already upon VP. So every month, let's say your loan is 800,000, maybe you are paying 4,000 a month or 3,000 plus a month, plus the maintenance fee. So it's a cost for you. If it's just minor aesthetic, cosmetical things, I think you can settle it yourself, or during your renovation, it most likely will be addressed as well. Compared to, let's say, structural windows, doors, right, layout kind of things, it's really need the developer to rectify it for you. So before we go into the subsale process, let me remind you, as a property buyer, especially your first property purchase or first home buyers, first step to determine, to finalize what is your objective of buying, whether you're buying for own stay or you're buying for investment. When you go to the sales gallery without a clear objective for own stay or investment, most likely the agent will lead you already. Don't let the agent lead you, because it will confuse your main objective. When you go to the showroom, definitely it's being designed in such a way, it being positioned in such a way it looks interesting, amazing, very attractive in terms of the unit, the sales gallery. It's the same analogy. You go to the sales gallery, you ask the agent, you say, oh, should I buy this property? Of course they will say yes. Same thing like you go to a barber, do I need a haircut? You go to a car wash, does my car need a car wash or vacuum? Of course they will say yes. So simply means if you don't have a clear objective, better don't go to the showroom or the sales gallery first, because it will definitely trigger you emotionally purchase the property. So sometimes people will ask me, I don't know whether I'm buying for own stay or buying for investment, this project or this subsale or even this auction. So if that's the case, I will always say don't buy. Need to finalize your objective clearly first before you do, because the decision that you make based on different objective, right, would be very different also. Don't say buy first and maybe later can own stay, or buy first maybe later can rent out, maybe for investment purpose. Even worse, I've seen before, already bought the properties and they are already taking a key, still no clear idea what to do with the unit, whether for own stay or whether for rent it out. So in this kind of scenario, you're just a buyer, you are not an investor. You're buying the property and you don't have a clear objective what to do with it. If you're buying a good property, then okay lah. If you didn't know what's the potential of the property, you are like gambling lah. You buy and hope it turns out well in terms of rental and demand. So the winning part about buying properties, right, is when you buy it, not after you buy it. Before you buy, you have to be clear about, is the property good in terms of cash flow, rental demand. So choose a property based on your objective, not someone else, not friends, not family, not the agent objective. Okay, and then choose a property based on the entry price, the unique selling proposition, and also the cash flow. Because property is a product that very easily lose money, and every one of us, including you and me, only have 2 quota of 90% loan. If your first purchase, you say, I bought the wrong one at, of course, 90%, then okay lah, I still got one more to go. But I want to buy for own stay. Now, my first one is not performing below average, and second one, I want to buy for own stay. So does that mean if you were to buy for the third one for investment, 70%? Of course, today, a lot of projects with rebates. If you want to buy for investment, you still need to come up with like easily 15 to even 20+% down payment. That's a lot of money. There's a lot of cost involved. So with that limitation of 2 quota of 90% loan, you have to choose very carefully. I will always recommend you start off well. First property, buy for investment. Second, maybe buy for own stay. If you don't really need an own stay, don't buy for own stay first. Don't let a product tie you down, because you're buying for own stay, you are the one paying installment. You're buying for investment, your tenant is paying for you. So let's go to the sub-sales process. So besides going to show gallery and sales unit for new property, there's another channel, sub-sales, secondary market or completed. You go to the listing, you shortlist what you want to view, contact the agent, arrange an appointment for viewing. The good thing about sub-sales is that you can visit the actual property, actual unit. You can see who are the owners, who are the residents, how is the common area condition, the notice board, any long list of default maintenance fees owner. You can see the overall upkeep of the property. If you are visiting a 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, you can straight away tell whether the management office is doing a good job or a lousy job. If they are doing a lousy job, even 5 years property, right, can look really bad. The condition deteriorates very fast compared to a good management. A property of 15 years or even 20 years still looks very well maintained. During your visit in the sub-sales, you can, the moment you enter the gut, how the guardhouse condition, when you reach to the entrance, you see how's the area around the entrance, the corridors, the walkway, the landscape, how they maintain all these things. When you go into the block, you can also check out their lift. Among all the lift, is it all operating? Is it 1 or 2 spoiled? How long has it been spoiled also? And then are the management doing something about it? In the lobby area, reception area, how's the lighting? How's the wall painting? Are there a lot of stain, not well maintained, dirty? Is there any leaking here and there on the wall, on the ceiling? Buying a sub-sale property is that you can see and decide before you buy. You see all the existing condition that it has, including your neighbors, even the potential tenants that are staying in that area. You'll be getting a lot of actual information already, where you don't get when you're buying a new property. New property, you buy now, you wait 4 years down the road, then only you can see your unit, then only you will know your management office, is it good or bad. Sub-sales requires 10% down payment. So for sub-sales, once you have visited the property, all the surroundings, common area, you visited the unit, the car park, everything, you are already satisfied. You want to finalize and make a booking. So first step is you pay an earnest deposit of between 3 to 5%. Sign a booking form with the agent. Then within a certain period of time, you are given to apply loan. So same thing, you prepare all your income documents, submit to your preferred banker. Straightforward case, maybe 1 week you will get the result already. You submit to bank A, B, C. So once they approve already, you compare which one is the best for you in terms of the overall package, not just on the interest rate. Once you have decided, then you sign an offer letter with the bank you accept. So after you sign, then you appoint a lawyer to do sales and purchase agreement, loan agreement, deeds of mutual covenants, and power of attorney. Usually these 4 documents. Then of course you need to pay legal fees, not like new property. Usually legal fees has already been waived or even covered by the developer. For sub-sales, you got to pay yourself. So you got to pay sales and purchase agreement legal fee, disbursement, stamp duty, then loan agreement legal fees, loan agreement stamp duty. And of course, sub-sales, you also need to pay the valuation fee. It's calculated based on the property value. So after signing, lawyers will continue with all the process like transfer of property. Freehold usually takes about 3 to 4 months, and for leasehold, maybe 5 to 6 months. But overall, of course, buying a sub-sales, the turnaround time will be definitely faster than buying a completely new property that you need to wait 36 or even up to 48 months for it to construct and then hand over to you. But of course, there's also certain case whereby the development has already been completed and then the developer still have unit, or they have some boomy release unit. You can get to buy something like a new project, enjoy certain rebates from the developer, and it's already completed. So when you get vacant possession, sub-sales, unlike new property, you don't have the defect liability period anymore, unless maybe you buy from the owner within 2 years of the property completion. Then maybe you will still get it depending on the sales and agreement between the developer and also the first owner. And lastly, For auction, it's a much more complicated process. Auction property, that means the buyer has already defaulted the loan and the bank actually take back the unit and then resell it in the auction platforms. Auction property is always very attractive, very sexy to hear about. Market rate or the open bidding price, how much, then the previous SPA or current bank value is how much. Always very sexy to talk about. But whether you can actually successfully bid at your target price is another story. That requires more experience. You need to find a more experienced auction agent to help you to plan out. And it's not easy that you like this unit, then straight away you bid and you can get it. Sometimes you bid many times, even 20 times, 30 times, right? You might not even get the property that you like or the target price that you want to enter. And don't get emotional when you bid for auction property. You need to set a target price. Once it's exceeded the target price, then move on to another one. Don't put too much of emotional attachment to the property because you don't care about the numbers and then keep bidding. It exceeds the target price. It doesn't make sense for the ROI already. So auction property, you need to come up with a 10% for you to even entitle for the ticket, entry ticket to do a bidding. You need to prepare 10% of the property open price. Let's say 500,000, right? 50,000 first, and then come to the bidding date. Then depends on how many bidders at the end of the day, what's the final price, the bidding result. Then you need to pay for the difference of the 10%. And subsequently, right, you also need to pay for all the valuation fee outstanding maintenance fee of that unit owing to the management office So auction unit involves a lot of cash, from the down payment 10% up to the outstanding maintenance and then the renovation and repair, because the condition may be even worse compared to a subsales unit. For first home buyers, if you are not very experienced or you don't have a very experienced auction agent, not recommended to go for auctions because first, very high capital involved. Second is too much of work involved. For first home buyers, I would recommend go for subsales or new project, depending on your preference. Subsales, you can see everything. Also very fast, you get your keys compared to the new project where you buy at very early stage of the project, right? You easily need to wait for 3 to 4 years before you can get the keys. Imagine that when you buy it for rental, buy subsales, right? Maybe 6 months down the road, you can renovate and rent out the unit already. But if you buy new projects, you need to wait for 4 years. And then during the 4 years, you have progressive interest to pay as well. So costs and also time. But of course, don't just look at one angle. As I always say, look at minimum 3 key ingredients. The entry price must be below the median price of the area or the competitor's price. Second thing is the rental cash flow has to be covered 85%. That means cover the interest portion of your installment. The third thing is that it has a strong unique selling proposition. Don't just buy another home, another apartment, another condo. No use, because you will definitely lose money. When your property doesn't have any unique selling proposition, right, you can't ask for a higher rental. You can't ask for a higher price when you sell. So don't just buy another average or below average apartment or property. Most common channel of buying a property is of course going to the showroom or the sales gallery. This is for new properties. Completed properties we call subsale or even secondary market. The new project we call primary market. So secondary market or subsales, right, you can go to the property listing website to look for completed unit which is suitable for your budget, your lifestyle, your location. And another channel, it will be auction property. So among all this, right, the lowest capital outlay or capital spending that you need to buy for a property, the new project will be the lowest and auction will be the highest because auction you need to pay down payment, you need to pay the outstanding maintenance fee, you need to pay repairs of the unit. I hope in this video my sharing it will be valuable for first home buyer or sell buyer. If you have any question, feel free to drop your comment below as well. If you like the video, give me a thumbs up and also share the video. Stay tuned and subscribe to the channel for more video like this. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.